Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 17th of April. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast, always presented by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. And do we have a show for you today? This is one of those shows you wake up in the morning, you can't wait to get in front of the microphone. I feel like all you guys listening right now, you're super excited for the show today. That gets me excited. I had you guys, you were tweeting at me yesterday, ZASLOW, you gotta go live. I gotta hear what you gotta say. Well, let's do it, all right? Here we go after the Heat take game one last night in Milwaukee. I'm not gonna say that they smoked the Bucks, all right? But the Heat, they were in full control the entire game. The closest the Bucks got, I think, was 8. The Heat had that pushback. Every time the Bucks pulled within 8 or pulled within 9, the Heat always had that pushback. They never allowed that Bucks run. It never came. The closest the run came was a 7-point game late in the third. The Heat finished the third quarter, 7-0 run, back up by 14. What a night. And you know how it is. Heat playoff games, those are my drugs. The intensity, the anxiety, the nerves, the agita I get throughout the entire game. Heat playoff games are my drugs. And in just game number 1 last night, I was a crack fiend last night. That shit was awesome. So the Heat take a 1-0 series lead last night with a 130-117 win over the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. A game that is, a little bit overshadowed by the injury situation. They lose Giannis. We're not quite sure what his status is moving forward for game 2. We lose Tyler Hero. He's done for the playoffs. I know it says 4 to 6 weeks. If we could be honest here, come on. 4 to 6 weeks, we're talking about we're talking about being into June at that point. So, yes, you want to be super optimistic about what it all means for the Heat. Let's not get crazy. It's just one game. But Tyler Hero, he's done for the playoffs. Cannot count on him moving forward. It's obviously a massive bummer. So, we're going to do mostly Heat today. You know how it goes. Today is a Panther playoff game day. That's right, Panthers now game 1. This is some kind of week. You got the Heat game 1 last night. You got game 2 Wednesday night because you have to have several days in between games. The scheduling for the NBA playoffs. Look, I don't want to be an old man, but I do this every year. You know this, all right? You know this how I do. The scheduling for the NBA playoffs is an abomination. I don't need 2 like tonight. Tonight you got Philly and Brooklyn, game 2. And then the second game tonight is, what do we got? Oh, Golden State, Sacramento. Boy, what a series that started out in. So anyway, tonight you got 2 games. You can't give me at least 3? I can't have, God forbid there's more than 1 game going on at a time. I don't need the NBA telling me what games I have to watch. I'm a big boy. I could choose the games. If you got these games on, and then you also have another one that starts at 8 o'clock, so you got 3 games going on, and 2 of them are happening at the same time, there's overlap, I'm a big boy. I got no problem choosing what game I want to watch. But instead, the NBA, they choose for you what games to watch, and now the next Heat game isn't until Wednesday, when we all want to get back at it. So, game 2 is when, and by the way, last night, and I know Charles Barkley talked about this. Excuse me. Last night, Denver, Minnesota, didn't see a second of it. 10:30 on a Saturday night? Really? 10:30 on Saturday night? The first game yesterday should have been 1 p.m. Then you got 1, 3:30, 6, 8:30. 10:30 p.m.? And it's on a Sunday night? I didn't see a second of it. How can I watch that? Anyway. It's the same thing every year with the NBA. The scheduling for the playoffs is an abomination. So, Heat game 2 is Wednesday, and then you got game 3 here in Miami. The Heat have a major opportunity come Wednesday. The Bucks, now look, it is important to point out, the Bucks have a history of starting series slow. They'll lose game one, and then they come back and they dominate the rest of the series. Hell, last time these teams played in 2021, remember Chris Middleton hit the game winner at the buzzer. It was a great game. Middleton hits the winner at the buzzer. Bucks dominated the next 3 games. So even though the Bucks didn't lose that first game to the Heat, they didn't play great the first game, and then they killed us the next 3. Remember the Bucks in the finals that year in 2021? They were down 0-2 to Phoenix. Came back, won the next 4. So this is a fairly common thing with Milwaukee. That probably a really aggravating thing for Milwaukee, but a fairly common thing for Milwaukee, that they'll lose game 1 and then come back really strong after that. So Wednesday night is a major opportunity now for the Heat. So game 2 is Wednesday night in Milwaukee with a chance to come home for game 3 on Sunday, which is right here at Kaseya Center. That's what it's called now. So that's the schedule this week. Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. The Panthers, tonight, game 1. Wednesday, game 2. Friday, game 3, FLA Live Arena. What a week! What a week of sports here in the center of the sports universe, South Florida. Sunday, Heat playoff. Monday, Panther playoff. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, Heat and Panther playoff. The good news, though, is the Panther game's at 7:30, the Heat game's at 9. So that's good. You like that. Thursday, nothing. Friday, Panther playoff. Saturday, Heat playoff. How you love that? How you love that? What a week this is. So we'll get to the Panthers. We're going to have our full NBA rundown as we do every Monday, but now it's going to be playoff-style rundown, presented as always on Mondays by Brunt Insurance. So that's what we got going on today. You could always hit me up on Twitter when you're listening to the show, even though you're listening in the future, I'm in the past. I don't know the things that you know by now. You may be listening to this show in an hour from now. You may be listening in 8 hours from now. A lot may have happened in the future. I don't know those things. You do. You have a lot more information than I do. But you can always hit me up on Twitter at ZASLOW Show. Of course, on Instagram at ZASLOWJ, where I'm an influencer. Everybody knows that. So, and just, again, like, rate, comment, do all that stuff. It's the start of another week of ZASLOW Show 2.0. I love you long time. So, last time we spoke was Friday, where Friday night, you have Heat Bulls playing game. Let's talk about that real quick. Great finish. Great finish. Jimmy Butler, if you didn't know, that's my dog. Great finish Friday night, and the Heat take out the Chicago Bulls. So, I said how I feel like there's a lot of Heat fans, there's a portion of the fan base who wants them to lose the play-in game, so it can expedite the whole let's make major changes. And I do think if the Heat would have lost the play-in game on Friday, and it would have been a super embarrassing week, it would have expedited major changes in the offseason. Now, if we're talking about major changes, that whole situation has likely been muddled a bit now, no matter what happens going forward, because if the Heat manage to put up a good fight in this series against Milwaukee, which it looks like they're going to, if the Heat put up a good fight against Milwaukee in this series, and they still lose, it's like, but what if they had Tyler? Tyler missed the whole series. So that whole situation now is muddied up a bit. But this is why you want, now, I didn't begrudge Heat fans who wanted them to lose on Friday and wanted this season, which has been a very rough season, to come to a merciless end. I didn't begrudge you guys. I don't agree with you guys, but I didn't begrudge you guys for feeling that way. And now, after last night, this is why you want to get in the playoffs. So you don't get the lottery pick, which would have been like a 0.5% chance of winning the lottery. Get the hell out of here. The Heat now, they're going to select, we're actually going to find out today at 3 p.m. today, because it's a 3-way tie between the Heat, Warriors, and I forget the third team, but there's a 3-way tie for teams with 44 wins this year. So some type of coin flip scenario is going to determine today if the Heat are selecting number 18 in the draft or if they're selecting 19 or 20 in the draft. But last night, you're reminded, playoffs are so good. You want to get into the playoffs. And you don't know what's going to happen. Giannis, I don't know what his status is moving forward. We know Tyler Hero's done. but I don't know what Giannis' status is moving forward. And now all of a sudden, you're facing a scenario. Like, we went to the game and my son's like, oh, the Heat, they're going to get smoked, which is what most people think. I'm like, look, so you get one of these first two. Get one. Get one of these first two, and you got a shot. And they took one on the first night, so I'm talking about. So now Wednesday, major opportunities presented to your favorite little basketball team. So we'll do a whole rundown and all of that. But last night reminded me, these Heat playoff games are my drugs. I was a crack fiend last night. Oh, I'm standing, I'm fist pumping every shot. I mean, the 3-pointers, it's bombs away. Man, I was feeling good last night. Last night was so much fun. And look, that's what the league is now. It's a 3-point shooting contest. The Heat, you think this is a coincidence? In 2020, the Heat are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They get to the finals. In 2021, they suck again at 3-point shooting. They're a middle-of-the-pack team. They get swept out of the first round. 2022, they're the best 3-point shooting team. They get to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, #1 seed in the regular season. 2023, they suck from 3. They're an 8 seed, and here we are. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, but Game 1, shot the lights out. 15 of 25 from 3. It really, for a team that defends, the Heat defend, okay? So it's like, oh, they also have to defend. It's not just about 3-point shooting. No, the Heat defend. Now, they haven't been great defensively since the All-Star break, but in general, the Heat defend. If they hit threes, they're going to win. If they don't hit threes, they're going to suck. That's what it's been all season. So you could think that's a good thing that the league's like this now. I don't, but the Heat win last night for 2 reasons. And I'm not going to say playoff Jimmy. We know what playoff Jimmy gives us. 35 points last night. It's my dog, in case you forgot. Playoff Jimmy is on a whole other level. You know, was it Friday night? I think it was Friday night. Yeah. Friday night, I think it was Friday. I don't remember. I can't remember all the days. But I was on VSiN Sports on Friday night. And, you know, I was asked, you know, they were asking me questions about the Heat play and all that stuff. And one of the hosts made the comment about Jimmy not being a superstar. And I had to push back on that. Jimmy Butler, when you're a great player in the regular season, which he is, and not only do you carry over those stats into the postseason, you're a big-time player. But Jimmy is the rare star player who is better in the postseason. You're playing great teams every night in the postseason. You're playing great defenses usually every night in the postseason. If you could just match your star totals from the regular season in the postseason, you're a superstar. Most star players can't match their regular season production on a nightly basis in the postseason. Because the postseason's hard as hell. You're not going up against teams like the Magic and the Spurs and the Rockets and the Pistons every other night. You're playing great teams every single night. When you can match that star production in the postseason, you're a superstar. When you can surpass that production, you're on another level. You're a different kind of playoff performer. That's what Jimmy Butler is. Jimmy Butler, and that's why I had to push back against those guys. Jimmy Butler is on another level in the playoffs. One of the all-time great playoff performers. And you know what? He stunk that first play-in game. So now, that's confirmation. And he was great in the second playoff game. But that's confirmation. Play-in, playoff, not the same. Not the same. Jimmy Butler is on a different level when it comes to the postseason. He was phenomenal last night. The 3-point shooting was there. And you got the secondary scoring. You know, you looked at the first play-in game. You got, like Bam was a no-show. Jimmy wasn't very good. I think he had like 21 that game, but he was not good. And you got a huge game from Lowry off the bench. That's the last time we'll see him do anything this year, clearly. You got nothing from anyone else. The Heat got the secondary scoring last night. Caleb Martin, huge. Gabe Vincent, huge. Kevin Love, huge. You know, one of the big reasons that I loved the Love pickup is there are going to be games in the playoffs. Last night looks like one of them. There are going to be games in the playoffs where you look back and say, we don't win that game without Kevin Love. Last night was one of those games. He's a big playoff player. He's got a ton of experience. He's one of just 3 guys if you want to count UD. Otherwise, you could count 2, but really just 1 as far as guys who could contribute because Lowry clearly has nothing left in the tank after the play in Game 1, which they lost, by the way. Like, it goes to show. The Heat waste the big Kyle Lowry performance, and they lose that game, and it's the only time he's going to do something the rest of the year. He stinks. Anyway, there were going to be, this is why they picked up Kevin Love, there were going to be playoff games where you say, we don't win that game without Kevin Love. And last night was probably one of those games. So I felt really good for him. But you got that secondary scoring. Man, I was very down on Bam in the first half. I'm not the only one. I'm sure everyone was saying the exact same thing about Bam in the second half. In the first half. Number one, from the very first possession, not even looking at the hoop. Very first possession down the floor. It's like, oh, that's how Lopez is going to play him? Lopez is guarding below the free throw line. Bam caught the ball at the elbow, back to the basket, never even looked at the basket. If that's how they're going to defend him, he must take and make that shot all series long. And we have seen him throughout this season take and make that shot. He had, that game last night, to me, they will win this series if Bam is great. Bam's got to take that shot. And he did in the second half. He had 17 of his 22 points in the second half. Guess what? The Heat never allowed a run. If Bam is great, and he was great in the second half last night, the Heat will win this series. Because then Lopez, one of a couple things will happen. Lopez, if he's going to leave him open there, Bam's got to bury that shot. If he starts to bury that shot, Lopez comes up, Bam drives around him. Bam is so much quicker than him. And then if they get to a place where they got to take Lopez out, you lose the rim protector and you lose the three-point shooting with him. Bam, to me, is the biggest key in this series. And if they're going to play him like that, Bam has to take advantage, which he did in the second half. All right, so let's. I was so frustrated with him in the first. I'm yelling at the screen. We're going back to this bullshit. But then the second half, whatever it was, I don't know. Maybe UD yelled at him. He got it going again. That game last night, I was on drugs the whole game. I love it. I love every time. NBA, I got bust on the NBA regular season all I want. NBA playoff games, so good. So good. Every time down the floor, every basket's big. And I felt that way last night in a game that the Heat scored 130. See, I love the 95-92 playoff games, you know? But even last night, a game that was super high scoring, I felt like every possession was critical. Now, maybe that has a lot to do with, all right, you're going up against the number 1 seed, or you're on the road, and you forget. Maybe you forgot. I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's been that long. It's only been a year. Road playoff wins are the best. Oh, my God. How good does a road playoff win feel? Aren't you on a great mood today? Didn't you go to bed in a great mood last night? I'm sure you did. Hey, real quick here, guys. Let me tell you about water cleanup of Florida. This is important because the weather has been so bad for the last week. It was pouring. We had a lightning storm here in Cooper City like 4 a.m. last night. If you think you may have a water leak, and look, this is the week to be aware. You got to call Water Cleanup of Florida. My boys, the Greensteins, Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. Get them into your home. Let them make sure that you're okay. And hey, if you do have a water leak, over 60 years of combined experience, they're going to handle all types of leak detection issues 24/7, 365. After the leak, here's my favorite part. After the leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida, then they're going to clean, dry, and fully restore all the damaged areas. Fully licensed, insured, certified to provide the one-stop shopping that all of us are looking for. You don't have to bring in a contractor. They handle the entire project from start to finish. Water Cleanup of Florida serves all the Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. Call or text Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635, or visit WCUFL.com. Again, Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. Those are my guys right there. And it's a good opportunity to make sure that you're taken care of. All right. Boy, the weather. I mean, we're taking Passover a little bit too serious here. It's like the 10 plagues out there for the past week. Come on. You tell I'm fired up. What a great week this is, right? The Heat playoffs, the Panthers playoffs. This is, and it's mainly the Panthers' fault. Although this is now the 4th year in a row that the Panthers are in the playoffs. I mean, they made the bullshit 2020 bubble playoffs, but and see how it's tough. It's not at the same time, right, as the NBA playoffs. The NBA was October that year. They had to push it back. I don't remember exactly when the Panthers were. Maybe it was September. Maybe it was a little bit before that. But like for instance, both teams are in the playoffs in 2020. In 2021, Panthers are in the playoffs. Heat are in the playoffs. 2022, Panthers are in the playoffs. Heat are in the playoffs. 2023, Panthers are in the playoffs. Heat are in the playoffs. Like a real sports town. This could be a great week. Great week. Every night. Every night. Oh man, I'm on a high from last night. I told you that game is like drugs. And the NBA playoffs, it's so good because every time down the floor, whether we're on defense, you know what I'm saying, right? When you're on defense and the ball's in the air for that split second, that anxiety that you get while the ball's in the air and you're playing defense, I love that feeling. Not knowing if it's going in or not going in. Yes, it didn't go in. I love that split second feeling when the ball's in the air and you're defending. And then on the other end of the floor, when the ball's in the air, get in there. Yeah, that split second of anxiety when that ball's in the air and your team took the shot. I love that feeling. Does anyone else get that? I feel like a lot of you probably do. I can't be the only one. But I live for that in the playoffs. That's my drugs. That split second feeling when the ball is in the air and you don't know if it's going in or not. I love that feeling. Last night was great, man. Let's go over last night. So the Heat, they get out to a good start right from the get-go. And you get to halftime with the double-digit lead. I'm angry at Bam. Bam comes out the second half, though, much, much better. The three-point shooting continues, but we lost Tyler Hero late in the first half. I was surprised it was Robinson starting in place for Hero. I was surprised they knew right away he broke his hand. Like John Morant, he's got the hand injury. They took x-rays. It's negative. That doesn't mean that he's not in trouble. He could have ligament damage. An MRI is going to tell you that. But they clearly did an x-ray to Tyler Hero right away. You got a couple fingers that are broken. You got a broken hand. It sucks. And if you saw him after the game, he was greeting everyone in the tunnel. And, he was bummed. He couldn't even pretend to be excited because it's such a bummer. He's not going to be able to participate now. And he's from that area too. It's such a bummer. So, Robinson gets the start in the second half. I was surprised, and it was telling, I was surprised that it wasn't Oladipo. But here's the thing, and that's a sign right there. Who's going to step in and replace Tyler? You have a couple of options. Do you move Strus to the guard and throw Caleb Martin in the starting lineup? And then you're going with a more defensive lineup. Maybe. That's not what I would do. I put Robinson in the starting lineup. Eric Spoelstra likes sticking with his rotation. Like if a starter's out, he likes plucking a guy off the bench and putting him in the starting lineup so he doesn't screw the rotation off the bench. You're already messing up the rotation with the starters. Do you also now want to mess up the rotation with the bench by taking a reserve and putting him into the starting lineup? That's not normally what Spo likes to do. So you could go Caleb Martin and go a defense-heavy lineup and move Strus to the guard. I would keep Strus where he is. I would keep Martin in his current rotation. I'd put Robinson in the starting lineup. And I think that was telling last night when Robinson started the third quarter. If you can't, we already know Robinson doesn't play because of his defense. And Robinson hasn't been playing because you can't have Hero and Robinson in the lineup together, right? It's too much not defense. Well, Hero's out now. And Hero's not a good defender anyway. So you put Robinson in Hero's spot. All right, you weren't getting good defense in that position anyway. And now you're adding an elite shooter. And we saw the way last night went down. The Heat don't win that game without hitting the three. I would put Robinson in the starting lineup. Stretch that floor, baby. If they're going to play Bam like that also, and try and make him into like a playmaker, give him another guy to throw the ball to. And hey, this happened in the game against Chicago. The Heat shot the 3-wall against Chicago. They packed the paint. Chicago gives up the most three-point attempts in the league. You got to hit the 3. And they did. Bam helped create that night. I think those are the two options. I think it was telling that Oladipo didn't go to the starting lineup. Maybe he'll have a moment off the bench. Hey, remember last year in the postseason, Oladipo was out of the rotation? And then Jimmy got hurt the one game in the series against the Celtics, right? Oladipo stepped in the second half, and then Jimmy didn't play the next game. I forget which game it was. And Oladipo got the start. Oladipo was great in place for Jimmy. He'll get his chance. He'll get his shot again. But I would put Robinson in the starting lineup. That's the way I would go. All right, so let's go straight to the second half there. All right. The Heat kept the Bucks at bay the whole time. They never allowed them to have a run. And with they got within, I think it was 7 late in the third quarter. Well, now the Heat have gotten a couple baskets in a row. And with the time running out in the third quarter, Duncan Robinson had his only attempt of the game.
Carter. Love with the screen. Switch on defense. Vincent will look. He'll find Robinson in the corner. 3. Good!
So a great finish in the third quarter. The Heat are up 102-88. They're up by 14 after 3. Great finish there, keeping them at distance again. Now, the Heat are up by 9. This like mid-third quarter, and Jimmy Butler's doing his thing.
Drew Holiday, 13 points, 14 assists, but he's missed 10 of his 15 shots. Jimmy, gets to his magic spot. Jimmy Butler with a 35-point game 1.
And here you got Bam. So Bam, after kind of a pathetic first half, really was. 17 of his 22 points come in the second half.
3:50 to play. Bam trying to draw Lopez out. Now shoots a 14-footer and buries it. Bam out of bio playing truth or dare.
I like that. He took the dare on that one and answered in a big way right there.
And it was the three-point shooting. I mean, he had Butler doing his thing around the basket. Jimmy, of course, from the mid-range. But the three-point shooting, Caleb Martin, big shots in the fourth quarter.
17 second-half points. Miami up by 8. 2:43 left. Caleb from the corner. Kaboom. Caleb Martin, 13 points, his third triple of this game.
And this was the dagger. Everybody knows this was the dagger. I mean, Reggie Miller said it here on the TNT broadcast. Mix it in the TNT broadcast and the Bally Sports Sun broadcast. Our pals Eric Reed and John Crotty, of course. And Gabe Vincent. Look, this is why he's Gabe Vincent. There'll be some nights where he gives you nothing. And then there'll be other nights where he scores, what was it, 15? And just hitting huge shots. Here was the dagger.
NBA playoffs. Butler through traffic. Lost the ball. Vacuumed in the corner. It's a 3 put in by Vincent. And that will do it. Holy smokes. The three-point shooting of Miami has been terrific.
Gabe Vincent was my dog. Kevin Love was my dog. Jimmy Butler was my dog. Bam Adebayo was my dog. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, man, I love that performance last night. Now we got a series, baby. Don't give me that a series doesn't start till the road team wins. Bullshit. Now we got a series. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Pumped, man. Pumped from last night. Oh, so how about this? We got this going on. There's a poll out there. Let me look up the poll here for you guys just so I can get all the details proper. All right. Now, you guys know one of our newest sponsors here on ZASLOW Show 2.0, Sheets and Giggles. We love Sheets and Giggles, all right? They love being a part of the show. My man Colin, he's the founder and CEO, Sheets and Giggles. Love Sheets and Giggles. Become one of over 100,000 Americans to sleep on Sheets and Giggles. The Zaslow family, we're 4 of over 100,000 Americans who are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. So breathable, so soft. They're naturally cooler, hypoallergenic, I love the zero static, and they care about the earth. Sustainably made via a lyocell process from the wood of eucalyptus trees, and it's grown on sustainably managed biodiverse farms, all right? No pesticides, no insecticides, eucalyptus, I'm telling you, the best sheets I've ever slept on. It's my favorite comforter of all time. I look at the comforter right now. It's like I have narcolepsy. I'm starting to fall asleep. I love that comforter. I got a eucalyptus pillow. You could also get a eucalyptus mattress. Sheets and Giggles. SheetsGiggles.com. Use my promo code ZASLOW at checkout, and you get 20% off your first order. The first time you go on Sheets and Giggles, again, SheetsGiggles.com, you're never going to buy sheets anywhere else. SheetsGiggles.com. So there's a poll out there, all right? My man Colin from Sheets and Giggles, he put out a poll. I retweeted it. You can go on to Twitter as well, at Sheets Giggles, but I retweeted it, at ZASLOW Show, and Colin put out a poll last night after the game. Which Sheets and Giggles sponsored sports podcast should we send to Bucks Heat Game 3 in Miami? So how about this? My man Colin told me, it's like, hey, ZASLOW, would you be interested in going to the game on Saturday? I'm putting up a poll, all right? We could sponsor it. We could sponsor you going out to the game. Like, hell yeah, I want to. So here's the poll. Here are the options. Levitard Show, Greg Cody Show, Sports Adjacent. I think that's Jason Leeser's podcast, right? Remember he used to cover the Dolphins. No, he used to cover the Heat. Dolphins. I think he used to cover the Heat. Jason Leeser and ZASLOW Show. Those are the 4 options. So you can go vote right now. I think you have until until tonight. I think the poll is still open. Right now, the leader at 41% is Levitard Show. And then I'm second at 32%. So I need a little bit of help here. Go to at Sheets Giggles and vote, or at ZASLOW Show. I retweet it. You could check it out. So Sheets and Giggles, SheetsGiggles.com, one of our newest sponsors here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. They're going to send one of their shows to Game 3. Now, it's not like I got to get on the plane and fly out there, but I don't have tickets for Game 3. I'd like to go to Game 3. So that's going to be a hell of a lot. Can you imagine if the Heat are up 2-0? Oh, my God. What a crowd that'll be. It's not going to be like that crowd at Sacramento, Golden One Corral Center, whatever it's called. Not Golden Graham Center, like Amber Wilson was tricked into saying on my show one time. But that crowd in Sacramento was something else. We'll get to them. So anyway, go vote. At Sheets Giggles, SheetsGiggles.com. That's where you become one of the Americans, one of over 100,000 Americans that are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles, just like the ZASLOW family is. But go vote for me. I want Sheets and Giggles to send me to Game 3 this weekend. Heat Bucks. Let's do it.